Guys, welcome to Bi-Monthly Bull, the satire show that comes out once every 2 weeks, except for when it doesn't. I'm your host, Lewis Spears, and generally it doesn't, but I'm trying my best. Let's get into it. In our first story tonight, CNN have come out with an article saying that cuckolding is good for relationships. So already this episode is off to a fucking ripper start. You know, I've noticed something about CNN that seems to drive the whole philosophy behind everything they publish these days. Always do the opposite of what the alt-right says. So, if the alt-right likes posting pictures of a frog, that frog, in all its forms, no matter the context, becomes a racist frog. However, if the alt-right starts using cuck as an insult, that must mean, according to CNN, being a cuck actually is a good thing that makes you big and strong. Don't believe me? Here's a direct quote from the article. Now, I'm reading this word for word, guys. In our current political climate, the term cuck, short for cuckservative, has become an insult of the so-called alt-right, aimed at men they view as spineless and emasculated. But according to a recent study, acting on cuckolding fantasies can be a largely positive experience for many couples and hardly a sign of weakness. And you know what, guys? I agree. I used to go to the gym every day to get big and strong, but now I just sit back and watch some other guy plow my wife, and now I've got super strength. I can fucking deadlift a car.
Why was his dick bigger than mine?
To talk more about CNN's position on cuckolding, I would like to welcome to the show the man who wrote the article, Ian Kerner. Ian, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for having me on the show, Lewis. Ian, what was the motivation behind your article? Sorry, Lewis, I'm just going to stop you there. I would actually enjoy this a lot more if you interviewed someone else while I watched. All right, go ahead, man. No judgments here. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, come over here. Just sit in the chair. And look, what we'll do is you just interview the fuck out of him. Pretend I'm not here. I'm just gonna watch and like really enjoy myself. Okay? Fuck. Right. So back to my first question. What motivated you to write the article? Well, that's a really good question. See, the main... Yeah. Oh, this is really uncomfortable. Just like that. What motivated you to write the article? Well, as I was saying... You like getting interviewed by another man? Can you answer the question? Oh, I love it when I get interviewed by someone else. What motivated you to write the article? Yeah, look at me while he asks you a question. Oh yeah, he interviews me so much better than you ever could. No, hang up. Interview over. Fuck this. I was almost there. Way too weird. Next story. Over in Australia now, SBS have released an article saying that 8 out of 10 cryptocurrency traders are men. Journalists across the world are blaming this divide on cryptocurrency trading being a boys' club. However, most people know that a boys' club in cryptocurrency trading is impossible because anyone who's interested enough in Bitcoin to trade it will talk about it every single fucking day until they have no friends left of any gender to form a club of any size. Now it's time for an update on the Royal Commission into historical sexual abuse within the Catholic Church, which at this point is turning into the world's easiest game of guess who fucked a kid. Is he wearing robes? Yes, he is. All right. Was he a priest between the years 1738 and 2013? Yep. Yes, he was. Okay. Is the answer all of them? Unfortunately, yes. Yeah, a lot of child molesters in the church. Right. This game makes me really sad. Cardinal George Pell is currently accused of multiple sexual offences, and at the moment in court they are discussing whether or not Cardinal George Pell exposed his genitals to a child after church. In response to the allegations, it was said that George Pell exposing himself to a child would have been impossible because the robes that he wears during sermon were so heavy that they couldn't be removed without the help of someone else. Yes, George. That's what we're saying. That's why there's a fucking Royal Commission. We think you've been getting children to help you take your robes off, man. Next up in social media news, Facebook is under fire after a company called Cambridge Analytica exploited the information of more than 50 million Facebook users and used that access to help Donald Trump win the US election. This was all done without their permission. Or maybe we did agree. I don't know. Could be in the terms of service. After 14 years of Facebook, not a single person has made it past the first paragraph without scrolling to the bottom and then just hitting agree. For all we know, there could be a paragraph explicitly stating that I have to give my dick to Mark Zuckerberg after I die, but I don't know. It'd be worth it just so I don't have to read that fucking paragraph. This information was leaked by a man called Christopher Wiley, a guy who used to work for Cambridge Analytica, who also happens to look like the Lil Pump of whistleblowers. In response to this, people are outraged and complaining about Facebook on Twitter, another company that also sells our private information for cash, which is kind of like complaining about being punched in the face to someone else who is also punching you in the face, except that other person only lets you complain in 280 characters or less while they punch you in the face. Now let's check in on some of Australia's best television, the morning show Sunrise. Now Sunrise recently held a hot topic debate about whether or not white people should be allowed to adopt at-risk Aboriginal children that are living in remote communities. Something which, by the way, white people are actually allowed to do. I can only assume the next hot topic debate will be about whether or not we should let dogs chase balls. Anyway, about 30 seconds into the segment, one of the guests, Prue McSween, said this.
Should white families be allowed to adopt at-risk Aboriginal children?
Oh, of course, it's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. Don't worry about the people who decry and hand-wring and say that this will be another stolen generation. Just like the first stolen generation, where a lot of children were taken because it was for their well-being, we need to do it again.
Now, Sunrise, look, if you're going to talk about problems facing remote Aboriginal communities, that's great. But you probably shouldn't have a guest on the panel that looks like she would freak out if she got 20 kilometers away from her nearest beauty salon. Although, I don't know why people are surprised about a woman called Prue McSween saying some incredibly racist shit. I mean, her name is Prue McSween. She looks like a fucking Disney villain, and she has the name to match. Now, for my international viewers who may not know, the Stolen Generation was an official government program that started around 1905 and went for about 50 years. And the program was where they removed Aboriginal children from their original families and placed them with white families against their will. It's widely known and taught in schools as one of the worst things that our government has done, apart from fucking up the NBN and letting Guy Sebastian beat Shannon Knoll in the 2003 Australian Idol finals. Now, for some reason, the public didn't respond very well at all to Prue's racist comments, so the next day they set up a protest outside the Sunrise window where they held up posters, banged on the windows, and chanted slogans. However, if you were watching Sunrise that morning, you would have no idea about the protest because instead of showing the live feed of the street like they normally do, Sunrise replaced the live feed with a pre-recorded video of a peaceful street and pretended that the protest wasn't happening, which I think is absolutely pathetic. Bi-monthly bull doesn't actually come out every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, more like every 2 months. Shit, sorry guys. Seems like there's a few protesters outside the storage unit that are angry about bi-monthly bull. Look, instead of addressing the protesters' concerns and changing my behavior, what I'm actually gonna do is change the background of the city behind me to footage of the protest outside Sunrise. That's much better. Cool. Now I don't have to listen to anybody's concerns. Hey, thank you very much for watching, guys. That's the end of the episode. I'm going to be trying to release these every 2 weeks from now. I've got a bit of a workflow going, so if you like what I'm doing, please do hit subscribe, turn notifications on, and hopefully, fingers crossed, YouTube will actually tell you when I upload a video. Also, if you want to help me pay for bi-monthly bull and the storage unit and the editing, all that kind of shit, please do support me on Patreon. It really does help, and it means I can break even on these videos instead of running at a loss like we are at the moment. All right, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next week with a new video, and hopefully 2 weeks later, there'll be a new bi-monthly bull. See you later, guys.